This video is brought to you by Gateway Subaru. Higher standards. Outdoors Delmarva covers everything outdoors,
including real hunting and fishing situations involving wildlife.
and we do our best each and every week to keep it tasteful, but discretion is advised.
Now, enjoy the show.
This is the best of Outdoors Delmarva, presented by Gateway Subaru. Higher standards. Some adventures are just too good to experience once. And now, here's Andrew Toggs.
So right now, we're starting off in the field where we're here for a good old-fashioned rabbit hunt. The weather may still be a little chilly, but the action was definitely red hot.
Let's just start here and head that way, and then we'll cut this side of the lane and loop around his house and work that woods first.
One of the keys to a successful rabbit hunt is having a plan. Another is having these 6 beagles. Here at the Seacott Farm in Cambridge, Maryland, hunters are standing by waiting for the dogs to flush out any rabbits whose trail they detect, and it doesn't take long.
I've already got one. There's an old barn falling down there in the bushes. The rabbits are always hiding underneath it.
Dave and I think we see one scamper out of the bushes, away from the dogs that are hot on the trail.
Oh, there he went. There. He just ran back into the old barn.
Waiting on the other side is Mike Parker, who just happened to have a camera mounted on his shotgun. Mike spots a rabbit on the edge of the bushes. Looks like the camera does not affect Mike's accuracy.
Rabbit number 1. Just a couple minutes into the hunt, and the dogs did exactly what they're supposed to. And rabbit came out right here along the edge of the road. Sized them up, had the camera rolling, so that's that.
Yeah, that's a different rabbit than the one we saw over here.
So the dogs are called over to sniff it out. Almost right away, the barking and howling of the beagles alerts everyone they have picked up the scent. And sure enough, out comes rabbit number 2. Right into Calvin's crosshairs.
How'd you like that?
Who just happens to be the dog handler, which begins to spark a bit of controversy.
I stood there all that time.
Come right where you were standing.
I know. He's got it trained good. Yeah, he trains them to run the rabbits right to him.
Moving on to the next spot, everyone posts up on the road while the dogs do their work. Dave heads into the soggy woods to see if anything gets flushed out into the trails. And sure enough, after waiting a few minutes, we hear something moving through the brush.
Got him! Oh yeah, it's been a real good start so far. Rabbit number seems to be really good this year.
After getting a couple in this section of woods, Calvin takes the beagles into another, and the search is on.
We got 3. That's not bad. I've had days where I got 0. So 3's not so bad. 4. Oh, we're overachievers.
The dogs don't pick up any scents here, so they loop back around to the previous section and quickly pick one up. He crosses the road in front of fellow hunter Art, and then we see him come out a few seconds later. There he goes, there he goes, there he goes. But he gets away, and after a few minutes of searching, the rabbit is spotted crossing back over the road, and the dogs are right behind him. Finally, Art sees the rabbit sneak out on the edge of the brush. Well, that one rabbit proved to be pretty slippery. It took us a while to get him, and these dogs have really been working it out. They've been in and out of the woods, and we watched that rabbit cross, several lanes here, and then happened to be just in the right spot, and we finally got him. But not every attempt would prove successful. And even with a misfire, it proved to be a great day of rabbit hunting.
Get outdoors, Delmarva.
Coming up next on the best of Outdoors Delmarva, winter weather can keep the surf fishermen indoors. That's okay. We'll catch up with this local club and learn how to tie one on.
But first, did you know?
Got him!
In Maryland, rabbit hunters can harvest up to 4 rabbits per day with a possession limit of 8. And this abundant species can handle the pressure on its population. Learn more about these cottontail critters when we come back.
You're watching the best of Outdoors Delmarva, presented by Gateway Subaru. Higher standards. Sponsored by Ocean City Tourism, Shorts Marine, Shooter's Choice, and Sussex Outdoors.
So we got 3. That's not bad. I've had days where I got 0. So 3's not so bad. 4, oh, we're overachievers.
Did you know? Like many other species, the cottontail rabbit was once even more plentiful on Delmarva, but the current population is still considered to be thriving, harvestable, and sustainable. A mature female rabbit can produce up to 5 litters a year of between 3 to 8 baby bunnies.
Did You Know is sponsored by North Bay Marina.
Thanks for watching Outdoors Delmarva. I'm Andrew Tawes. And with temperatures getting colder and snow still out here on the docks, it may have been the final straw for local anglers. And I'm sure a lot of them have probably hung up their rods and reels by now. But just because you don't have any bait out there in the water doesn't mean you can't get hooked. I recently met up with a group of fishermen whose passion for fly fishing knows no off-season. These fishermen are not gathered here to go cast flies. They're here instead to tie some flies.
I'm cutting the loops a little bit off center.
We first met with the saltwater fly anglers of Delaware last year. Nearly every weekend of the winter months, they meet up at Lewis Harbor Marina Bait and Tackle to tie flies, with the goal being to use their own creations to reel in the fish once it gets a bit warmer.
And that's what fly tying is about. It sort of fills that gap when it's too cold to fish.
It's something we can do during the winter when the fishing slows down.
And by no means do you need to be a master fly tyer. Bruce Peterson just joined the club and is learning that, like anything else, it takes a little bit of practice.
They tell me the more you work on it, the better I'll get.
And the better these fly tyers get, the more helpful they can be for the new guys. There doesn't seem to be any pressure when a crowd gathers to see how these masters of hooks, lines, and polar fiber create their masterpieces.
That's the other part of the club, is sharing the information.
Teach them the tools, the proper applications of the tools, different materials.
So I asked Ron for a demonstration. He's going to show me how to tie a bullet head darter.
And it's tied, I'm tying it on a number 1 hook.
He begins by wrapping the shank of the hook with thread.
After I get the hook wrapped with the thread, we put a mono loop on. The purpose of the mono loop is to prevent the polar fiber, which I'll tie on in the next step, from wrapping around the hook shank.
Secure that with a bit of good old crazy glue.
To make sure that it stays in position. With polar fiber, it has to be combed out, wrapped on.
And to make the fly more visible, it needs a little flash.
Anywhere between 4 to 6 strands of crystal flash. This will give it the flash underwater so that the fish can see it. Then we also use a gold flash-a-boo material. Trim that off and leave it about 1/8 of an inch longer than the actual length of the tail on it.
Next is another layer of flash called a fluorescent S-Taz.
The reason for chartreuse, it's more visible when you get into the depths of water. It shows up much better than many of the other colors we use.
Ron ties the S-Taz off and goes back for some more polar fiber.
This has to be combed out.
Next, he separates the fibers.
Sort of like forming the mustache. So when we fold it back over the hook, it's even, and that is tied down. Tie it off.
You can tie with your fingers, but Ron finds using a whip finisher to be much easier. And finally, some more crazy glue.
Keep it from coming unwrapped. And there we have the bullet head darter.
And of course, plans are already being formulated for this latest creation.
Hopefully it'll be responsible for catching some small tarpon.
For the new guys, watching and learning from the experts makes waiting out the winter a little easier.
That's the first one I did. It's good, and you can see it doesn't have a nose to it. And then this one, I had the gentleman come over and show me how to get the nose set up on it. So today I'm back trying to do a little bit better.
I just enjoy creating the flies. The satisfaction of catching a fish with something that you've created is is the next step.
So while some anglers may be going stir-crazy waiting to set their hooks, instead they may want to consider spending the winter wrapping them.
Coming up next on Outdoors Delmarva, the trout season is underway in lower Delaware. You've seen the stocking, now see the catching.
You're watching the best of Outdoors Delmarva, presented by Gateway Subaru. Higher standards. You're watching the best of Outdoors Delmarva, presented by Gateway Subaru. Higher standards. Here's Mike Parker with a look back on one of our favorite adventures.
And as promised, we've made a return trip this week to Newton Pond, here just outside of Greenwood in Sussex County, Delaware, where right now would be the opening day of the trout season here in the lower portion of the state. Now, if you tuned in last week, you saw we were pretty excited when Andrew and I joined our friends from Denrec as they trucked in hundreds of rainbow and golden rainbow trout. So the question is now, with the season underway, are they catching them? As with any type of fishing, that depends on who you talk to.
We have gotten from Pennsylvania rainbows and golden rainbows.
Because of our visit here just 3 days before, we knew there would be trout to be caught on opening day at Newton Pond. And our buddy Mark Zimmerman from Denrec was right on with his prediction.
There will be a big crowd.
So as I patrolled the perimeter of this man-made body of water, the search was on for anglers both skilled and lucky. And in trout fishing, either is acceptable.
So who got that one?
Patrick did, right there behind.
Hey, what's up, man?
Yeah, I was here early to get the first fish. I saw the first fish caught, no doubt.
What are you using this morning, if you don't mind sharing?
Well, I started off with about a 1/4 ounce spinner, so I could get out there, but I haven't had a lot of luck with them, to tell you the truth. They're not biting too hard right now.
What's in your tackle box for the opening day of trout season here?
Everything.
Show me around.
I've got Panther Martins, salmon egg holders, Meps lures, power bait. I've got it all.
And how much of it's working this morning?
None of it.
The thick brush that's grown up along the edges of Newton Pond have made access a little tough this year. But many of those who found an opening on the edge of the water also found fish.
Yeah, we got 6 in the box right now. We're using power bait.
And I seem to like it. What's your theory on that?
I don't really have a theory, just put it on the hook and chunk it.
Power bait. I was using power bait. It works all the time. Haven't had a bite since.
And you drive a Subaru.
Right, drive a Subaru and love it.
There it is.
But there was also another group of anglers not quite satisfied with fishing from land.
So you brought some transportation.
Yeah, tried it with a boat a little earlier today. Had a leak in the boat, so now we're going out in some kayaks. But there's so many people around the bank. It's hard to fish for them off the bank. And when they put the trout in, they kind of school together. So if you can find them, you can usually catch them.
Oh yeah.
Now that's trout. Chris Carter's the guy that caught it. I'm not going to take any credit for it. That's a keeper. And that's something. I'm not lucky enough to catch anything like that. That's a golden one. These guys are the best fishermen on the dock right here.
My first one. Then he got to put it on the rope, and then Clay got another one.
Is that what happened?
Yeah, because the first one I had. I think mine is ready to go back in the water.
All right, put him back.
Oh, it's just great. Get them up early in the morning, get them breakfast, get out here, wait for 7 o'clock for the fishing to start, and they both go fish right away. It was great.
While the trout bite seemed to cool off a bit by mid-morning, there's always an exception for anglers who seem to know something the rest of them don't. And on opening day, the hot corner seemed to be in the shallow section of pond near the entrance.
You gotta miss 5 to get 1.
That means you must have missed about 20.
Yeah, it's about right. I can't get the 6th one.
Put it this way, we both had the 6th one within inches of the bank. We can't get it in to finish our limit.
By the time some anglers were packing it in, it was still hard to find anyone who didn't embrace this rare freshwater fishing treat, which doesn't come to Lower Delaware very often. And proving that once again, a full stringer may be a great thing, but a full day of fishing, no matter what you catch, is a memory you'll never want to throw back. Coming up next on Outdoors Delmarva, to make room for our new stories in 2013, we've got to clean out some leftovers. We'll check out this Waterman's Festival from back in the fall.
You're watching the best of Outdoors Delmarva, presented by Gateway Subaru. Higher standards. This is the best of Outdoors Delmarva, presented by Gateway Subaru. Higher standards. And now, here are Mike Parker and Captain Willie Dykes.
Willie, seriously, if we're going to make room for all of the new wild game and fish that we're going to be bringing home this coming season, we better make room and get rid of some of these leftovers from last year.
We have some leftovers from last year's show to bring you, including this fun event in Ocean City. We paid a visit to the commercial fishing harbor in West Ocean City in October of this past year, and with so many other Outdoors Delmarva stories to juggle.
Nicely done. Look at that. Say hi to WVOC.
We just had trouble fitting it in.
It's a Maritime Heritage Festival, and it really celebrates the maritime culture, the sport fishing industry, the commercial fishing industry.
Harbor Day at the docks, now in its 5th year, can be seen as one big thank you card to the people who make this popular tourist town one of the gems of the Atlantic coast. And there's plenty to do and see, including an up-close look at some of the species that are harvested commercially from Delmarva's waters.
They're for her. She'll eat them too.
After all, seafood is king here.
Got oysters, oyster shucking demos, clams on the half shell.
From Cape May salt.
Boat tours are available. And if you're a landlubber, it's always fun to try your hand at boating skills while staying dry at the same time.
Good aim. All right, that's a good one. You got it.
And of course, Harbor Day at the docks is like a who's who of Ocean City's wildlife and conservation efforts. Our friend Mark Sampson was on hand to educate the public on the maligned and misunderstood shark.
How much mainline? That's all they can do. They can't hurt you.
And Dick Arnold was there with some of his star horseshoe crabs to dispel some myths.
Crabs don't pinch at all.
And what event would be complete without a good old-fashioned crab meat picking contest?
Each contestant gets 3.5 minutes. All you can pick. Ready when you are.
So keep an eye out for this event and put it on your calendar for 2013.
Get Outdoors Delmarva.
Coming up next on the Best of Outdoors Delmarva, some of our favorite videos and pictures.
Outdoors Delmarva viewer pictures are sponsored by Shorts Marine. This is the best of Outdoors Delmarva, presented by Gateway Subaru. Higher standards. Sponsored by Ocean City Tourism, Shorts Marine, Shooter's Choice, and Sussex Outdoors.
On to those viewer videos and pictures.
Austin Meredith passes along this shot from this past archery season. This young bow hunter says he harvested this nice 8-pointer back in early November, hunting near Salisbury.
Aaron Meredith wasn't far behind when it came to finding success. This doe was also taken near Salisbury on the opening day of Maryland rifle season. Cole Miles of Fairmount in Somerset County is a rabbit hunter, This 6-year-old helped bag 6 rabbits while hunting with Timothy Hamilton's pack of beagles and Dad John Miles. Nice work.
And Pam Ayers caught this iconic species on camera. She says this bald eagle was hanging out, probably looking for a meal in the field right across the road.
All right, well, we had a heck of a week here out in the field with friends hunting down some of these Dorchester County cottontail rabbits, and next week we'll be just up the road with some highlights from the National Outdoor Show.
That's right, and for Captain Willie and Mike Parker, I'm Andrew Tawes reminding you to get outdoors, Delmarva.